The one bright, shining spot in YouTube when it comes to adjacency to the Democratic Party is More Perfect Union. And they have covered what is considered a crisis story with USPS, the United States Postal Service. And when you think about how much work they're going to be doing over the next 6 weeks, it should make your stomach churn knowing how little corporate America thinks of them. And this is a big reason why capitalism is failing and will continue to fail until it is no more, unless there is a dramatic U-turn. And all signs point to there will not be a dramatic U-turn. And here's an example why.
The National Association of Letter Carriers represents over 225,000 mail delivery workers in cities and suburbs. And for the first time in 50 plus years, its members are revolting. Stoking the anger is the failure of top secret contract negotiations between the union's president, Brian Renfro, and USPS Postmaster General Louis DeJoy that left workers without a contract for more than 500 days.
During this period of time, he continues to tell the carriers it's taken this long because it's going to be historic. Just hang on, it's historic. That's been going on for 7-8 months. You know, it's coming out soon, and that was kind of the running joke.
Well, what happened was that one of my letter carriers, he was going through a bad situation, financial situation. He became homeless. And he came here, you know, he said, I don't have a place to stay, I can't shower, this and that. The membership approved it, so I built a shower, just for they could at least 5 minutes that they could come in, shower, give them some time, a breather.
The contract that Renfro finally took to members included a mere 1.3% raise for a job that starts out at $19 an hour for the first 2 years, in a recently created and mandatory position called a city carrier assistant. Those workers will make 20 cents more an hour. The highest earning workers get a mere 43-cent bump. To so many carriers, that pittance of a raise is the embodiment of a much larger set of problems that have degraded a job that once guaranteed a solid middle-class life. That is the deeper undercurrent fueling this backlash.
Agreed 1,000%. Didn't you say that your poppy was a mailman?
My poppy was a mailman. I have a lot of issues with this because all of these are fundamentally avoiding the main problem, is how we treat the Postal Service in general. I don't know if people realize, but the Postal Service is the only service that is required to fund itself, and it has to basically make its own money for itself. It funds itself. So unlike other services where it's funded by just like, as Grumbine would say, the keystroke, they actually do have to have their own revenue pay for themselves. And so as a result, they're taking a universal basic service and they're turning it into a profit motivated situation, and it just doesn't work. That's what I think.
One of the worst parts of the Trump presidency in his first term was how they went after the U.S. Postal Service, how Louis DeJoy was appointed, and how this is yet another example of what happens when the Republicans play the bad guys and the Democrats pretend to play the good guys. They're all in it together. That's why DeJoy was not relieved of his duties during the Biden administration. Much like, as we've discussed time and time again, that when Bush did his tax cuts and Obama made them permanent, and then Trump did his tax cuts and Biden made them permanent.
Exactly.
So it's the same thing. It's rinse and repeat.
But yeah, they're talking about the fact in the chat about that Biden obviously didn't replace the Postmaster General. I mean, this was, I have to say, I will admit I've been ignorant about who is the Postmaster General.
Well, if he was still alive, we would have had Wilford Brimley as the Postmaster.
I was just about to say, unless it's Wilford Brimley, I'm really not interested.
My God, he gets things done.
Freaking love Wilford Brimley.
It's a great job. It just doesn't pay what it should, and we deal with harassment and bullying from an organization that treats us as worse than disposable.
We have DeJoy. He's the biggest union bust in the world. That's what he's done his whole life. So now he's gonna come, and he comes out with a 10-year plan to change the post office, and little by little, he's eliminating jobs.
Extreme heat has also been wreaking havoc on letter carriers who are tracked by management minute by minute through data on their package scanners.
We have no air conditioning in these vehicles. It's 130 degrees in those vehicles. Management starts sending on these scanners, no brakes, no additional brakes, keep it moving, beat the heat.
That's exactly the message that 66-year-old Eugene Gates received in the summer of 2023.
The widow of a U.S. Postal Service letter carrier who died on his route Tuesday this week believes the job he loved is what caused his death.
Here's a guy who's never been disciplined. He's fixing to retire. And they bring him in there and they say, hey, you're getting this letter of warning for these stationary events. So what, in his mind, what is he thinking? I'm fixing to spend the rest of my life with my wife doing whatever we wanted to do. And instead of me taking breaks as needed in the heat, I'm going to skip those breaks because I can't afford to lose my retirement.
It later emerged that USPS management never gave Gates heat management training. Instead, a manager falsified the record to say that they had. It wasn't an isolated incident either. This happened to thousands upon thousands of carriers. The frustration is largely with Union President Renfro. Members believe that his personal issues compromised the contract negotiations. Early on during talks, Renfro all but disappeared for more than a month, offering no updates and setting a tone for what was to come.
I'm Brian Renfro, president of the National Association of Letter Carriers. 465 days ago, I made a decision to begin receiving treatment and start the road to recovery from the disease of alcoholism.
Addiction is an intense disease, and I have great respect for someone that wants to take care of themselves. But not when you have 277,000 employees waiting for you to do your job. You don't just ghost everybody for 30, 40 days, not put anyone else in charge, and then come back and throw yourself back into it again.
From the information that we received, he admitted that he was the one that did all of the negotiation by himself without the executive council. At the wrap session that I attended, he informed her that the post office did an offer and he was the one that made the offers.
Another great episode of More Perfect from More Perfect Union.
Yep. And this is what ends up happening. It is the only, as we said, the improvements of the NLRB can be directly attributed to the work that More Perfect Union does, and why Lena Khan is the one truly positive. But you can argue Supreme Court Justice Jackson as well. But truthfully, Lena Khan has been that one bright, shining spot. And there was talk today, we'll see if it actually happens or not, but there is talk of potentially having Lena Khan go on Joe Rogan before Trump is officially inaugurated. There are a lot of people, including Elon Musk, who want Lena Khan out of her job. And what are we supposed to expect?
Of course they do. Of course they do.